Murtaza,
Hello, Sean.
the Elon Musk of Pakistan, live with us today.
That's a
How
great
are
company.
you? How are you doing? Your family's good?
Absolutely. All doing well.
All right, you're in Islamabad?
Yes.
Okay. I
Hometown.
know you were in Peshawar for a while, right?
Yeah, I used to travel there. Peshawar is 2 hours away, so I used to, just go there, once in a week. Yeah. But I was living in Islamabad all the way.
Well, we've done a lot of work together, Murtaza, and helped a lot of businesses and supported Pakistan's entrepreneurial ecosystem over the last 7 years, I think, something like this.
Absolutely.
What's on your mind? What do you like? I wonder, you know, you're running an electric car, electric car company. You're just involved in a lot of different activities. What are you seeing and what's relevant? And
So, Sean, number one thing is that COVID-19 is really making a big impact in a way that, we used to play differently, we used to live in a different manner, we used to work in a different manner.
Mhm.
And we also forgot how to cook, right? And COVID-19, while it's making all these changes in our
Right.
lives, the way we live, work, or play, they're making us better cooks as well. I cook.
Always a positive attitude, Mortiza, for sure.
And to be very honest, in this lockdown, there's some things which I realized, and one of the things is that all those suits and clothes in my cupboard is, they're not good for anything nowadays. All the shoes, they're still stacked up. I think I've hardly used one pair of shoe. So with this era, we are also realizing many other things as well, right? So minimalism is something which is coming back to us. And if you look at the past 3 4 decades, the commercial boom, people used to buy, spend, go out, bust their credit card limits, and now things are changing because people need very less things to survive, right?
Right.
At the same time, when you go out, you see a very clear sky, and I can see mountains from here. So overall, there's also this thinking that maybe whatever is happening might have a lesson for us, and that lesson is, in my opinion, is very clear. Um, but as an entrepreneur, there I have now 6 7 different ventures,
I know.
and few of them took a big hit, especially the services business, because our clients are off. Few contracts were halted, stopped. At the same time, few more contracts or new work came our work as well, because with the changing atmosphere, people need digitization, people need apps, they need e-commerce platforms and stuff like that, right? So everybody, especially countries like the second world or third world, they were not so much on digital space. But right now there's a race going on because everybody wants to be on apps, everybody wants to sell online, and that's a great opportunity for entrepreneurs to ensure that this digital transformation can be sorted for all these small and medium enterprises, right? At the same time, I personally, what I did was that in Pakistan, there was a great shortage of good quality masks, right? And I had designers, industrial engineers, and we came up with a very cool, classy mask as well. It's pretty secure. It's N95. We have launched it. It's, and we called it AirDoc 19. So if you go to airdoc19.com, you
Okay.
can see a mask over there. And today, while we were, while I was waiting for this broadcast, my colleague came and he just gave the very first lot to my wife, because I was busy in this. So we are in business now. And the thought was that we want to provide that to frontline soldiers, to law enforcement agencies, to doctors, so that when they're dealing with situation, they need to be, they're able to procure cost-effective masks and secure themselves. So that is the thought behind it. But at the same time, it does not mean that it will not be a sustainable initiative or it will not have any profits for the company and all.
I mean,
So
so I have a question, Mortiza, because I think that what is it, and I admire this in you so much. What is it, and what do you think your key is to be able to look at the world through a lens of possibility versus or abundance. You have an abundance mentality versus scarcity mentality in that sense. What is it that that keeps you what do you think that secret is that helps you have that positive possibility possibilitarian kind of mindset where you're off doing face masks immediately and figuring out how to make those as one example?
So I think for any good business, one thing is very important. Whether it will fulfill some need, whether it will help people, you need to have that sort of a mindset, right? And
How do you do it? How do you do it? How do you keep that? How do you what are you doing in your mind that causes you to want to come up with, hey, we need to go change this and start making masks. This is what we need to do.
so this is how it all started. I will explain it in a manner.
It's a
When,
mindset. I want to know the mindset behind it, not the process, not the steps you took to do that.
so
It's in your mind. How do you think that way, Murtaza?
in every situation, I usually sit back and reflect on everything, whatever is going around me.
Mm-hmm.
And the first instinct as an entrepreneur which comes to me is to get into a survival mode,
Mm-hmm.
right? So sit back, reflect, and secure yourself in a manner that you get into a survival mode. And that survival mode is where you analyze how can you keep going. This might last for 3 months, this might last for 6 months or a year or 2 year, right? But we are far, but we will be together one day, right? We are having this
Sure.
conversation. We will meet and hug each other one day, right, Sean?
One day.
So that
And
survival
our sons will meet each other.
Yes, absolutely. So that survival mode, how do I get through it? Now, once you have that in your planning and in your mind, your team is up with it, uh, then you get into product innovation. Because if you are in a survival mode, this can directly relate with your product innovation as well, but what we did was that we sat back and we said, okay, fine, this is what we have to sustain ourselves for these XYZ months, right? These are the steps which we need to take in order to cut costs and stuff like that. But then what's next? And that is where we realize that we have industrial designers, we have engineers, we have 3D artists, we have expertise in plastic molding and stuff like that. And then we were like, oh, there's a great need. People are exploiting others by coming up with these masks, these overpriced masks, because they're and we thought, no, first we have to help people that to get, if we can make this in Pakistan, let's do it. And then we came up with this air doc 19, and 19 is for obviously COVID-19, and air doc is like doctor for air, which you breathe, right? So,
Yeah.
so this is how we thought that once we had that peace of mind in which we you actually have to, being an entrepreneur, you need to realize and accept the ground realities as well. I have been talking to many people, many startups, and they're not accepting. Either they're in a sense of a depression sort of a thing, and having a negative mindset. You need to come out of that. Relax yourself. That is the key. Relax yourself. Only then you will analyze and will come up with something which can be worthy enough. And during this journey, the most important thing which we realized was our communication with stakeholders, with our team members, with prospect customers, with prospect investors, or the investors who we had already in our companies, with partners. So everybody needs to communicate, come up with plans, come up with support. So we came up with a lot of resources which were available to us free of cost, and we took benefit of it. In good days, during the good days, like 2 months back, we never needed such sort of things, right? We never needed any favors, we never needed such communication, but now we're on a different level. And since everybody in the world is in this storm together, and they realize this together, we might not be in the same boat, but we are definitely in the same storm, right?
Yes.
So people started giving, opening up, great ideas, great support, and we were able to do something nice for the country, right?
Yeah.
And while we were doing it, when we told people that how cheap it can be in Pakistan, people are reaching out to us so that we can export it. So it has just opened up another dimension for us, that why cannot we, maybe there is protection gears or mask for other things as well, like for example, a paint shop, for example, this XYZ and all, right? For other viruses, for other purposes. So I think it has opened up another avenue of business for us. And, but at the same time, let me tell you, Sean, with my technology development company, Cybervision, I think my team is making me really, really, really proud. Although we are short on cash flow, few contracts were stopped, few are at pause because things are not moving, clients are not in the office, payments are not being processed. But they all came together just because of my very open communication. For the very first time, I made a group with everyone, even our colleague who cleans the office, on a WhatsApp group. And I spoke about it openly, that this is what we are going through. These can be the consequences, but if we want to be on top of it, we want to be the company who did not fire a single employee during COVID 19. We want to be the company who would say very proudly that during COVID 19, we did not let anyone leave their job. In fact, we were hiring people, and that goodwill will give us so much, credibility in the market, that good people will be willing to join us while others are busy firing people. We are busy trying to keep them and, maybe, make them happy too. And this also, another blessing in this is that we have realized that working on Zoom or Slack or Time Doctor, Asana, all these tools which are there to manage teams, collaborate, have meetings and all, this really saves our time. So in
Oh,
Pakistan, there was a concept of physical meeting, that I have to go physically meet someone. Even if I have a half-hour meeting in Karachi, I had to fly, pay like $200 or $300, meet that guy, come back. And now things will change because
yeah.
they would be used to it. So this transformation is making us used to very good things in life, right?
Yeah.
So I guess probably there's a lesson for us.
Well, what a great exercise you have there too, in terms of just sitting back, reflecting, and then kind of allowing your mind to wander. I mean, what you're doing is you're letting your imagination go and suspending judgment. You suspend judgment in those moments because you're looking for the possibilities. Um, when did you start doing that? When did you start, like, is this a natural thing you had all your life, or have you been practicing and learning and improving your ability to change? It's like you're reprogramming your brain, honestly.
So I guess being an entrepreneur is somebody, an entrepreneur also comes with a lot of responsibility, right? It's not like, few people think they have a different lens, that, oh, they're there, these guys will be making money and stuff like that. But in reality, there's a lot of responsibility. We have to make sure that the families are dependent on us, right? We have to ensure that our clients who were working with us, they need few things, and we need to be there to ensure that the service is there, to ensure that we meet their needs, right? So this is your very first, as an entrepreneur, this is something which you really need to be very much worried about all the time. But then at the same time, what my mindset is that,
I'm going to say time out because I think that that's a maybe somewhat of a unique, not unique, but maybe not everybody who's an entrepreneur takes a responsibility for their employees or takes on the like a duty. And I think maybe it's a cultural, it's a cultural thing where you feel this responsibility, or it's part of a responsibility. What about entrepreneurs who maybe don't feel that level of responsibility? How can they?
so
You see what
we
I'm
all
saying?
have.
Like, and you know what I think you know what I'm talking about here. Like you really represent what's possible in terms of taking responsibility and doing what's right, what's best, versus what's most expeditious and most efficient. Let's say. Uh,
Hmm.
Where did you get this like sense of responsibility that you have?
So this sense of responsibility, pretty much, I remember 15 years back when I was starting my own entrepreneur journey. I just witnessed that people used to, my friends used to get their salaries late and stuff like that. And that is when I thought that I'm never going to do such sort of things, and I will ensure that the business cash flow is there. But I get what you're saying. So, what about the opportunities or looking into things? To be very honest, Sean, I can come up with a very nice, flashy answer to that. But the truth
No
is,
flashy, no flashy.
when you have an open mind, and you surround yourself with good, great people who think positively, who talk about ideas, you always find partners. So, except my very first company, Cybervision, I'm the sole owner, but all the other ventures, I have partners. So now we have this electric vehicle venture, we have a solar company, we have a digital design agency, we have an HR outsourcing company. Now we have this AirTalk 19, right? And all of these companies, I might have not taken one or two names, all of these companies, um, I have found great people, great partners who value each other, right? So the trick is, keep your mind open, keep looking, but surround yourself with positive people who have the right energy, and you will always find things to do. And as far as as an entrepreneur, my mind works very differently. And a friend of mine in California, I was talking to her, and I was like, you know what, I'm into so many different sort of sectors and verticals. And a lot of people say that you need to have a very sharp focus on what you're doing, and maybe build one thing and make it a great thing. And she said, well, have you heard about Richard Branson?
Of course.
And I was like, okay, that's a good point. I will take it from here, right? So yeah, so at times you question yourself, and the answer to that was that maybe my focus is to finding such opportunities and building companies, right? So I love doing that, and I think I will continue doing that.
I mean, focus, right? I think that, yes, Richard Branson and you, I'll take you. I have multiple businesses myself, multiple actions going on simultaneously, generally speaking. When you're starting out, though, and you're just beginning to understand how to start a business, even Richard Branson started with a record store, right? It was just one record store. And he got that record store very popular. It started generating money. Then he realized, okay, wait a minute, I can license music, and started licensing music through artists who would come in and try to pitch their records. And so he was focused. And I think that sometimes when we use those examples, they're okay if you've got a lot of experience, which you do, right? But you were Cybervision and then giving back to the community originally, and then through time learned how to identify team members, because what Richard Branson does is he hires CEOs to run those divisions. He doesn't run them at all. And so it goes back to the whole notion of nothing of greatness happens without a team. Collect people, and then you can move in any direction. And then what you're doing now is sharing, right? You're not the sole owner of those businesses. So other people have some ownership, and then they are working just as hard as you are. Is that right?
You're right. I'm CEO of one company, and all of the other companies we have full-time CEOs, right? So that's right.
Yeah.
I think you have nailed it.
I think that's important to remind people. I want to be clear, because I can see the audience out there going, see, I could focus on lots of things at one time. He just said I could, but the reality is focus is still important. And while you've got these lots of endeavors, you've got somebody intentionally focused on that business 100% so that it keeps going.
To put things in right perspective, I remember the first company I started in 2000. It's been 20 years, and for the very first 15, 16 years, I only ran one business.
That's right. Yeah. So I just wanted to clarify that, because I could see people twisting that around and messing with us, and that focus is still critical and important in making sure you got those right people. And what I hear from you is that over time, you've been able to collect some really, really good people, and that now you're a magnet, and that the good people come to you. And so now it's even easier to find good people as you go out and start these new endeavors. Amy, good Good morning to you.
Good morning. I have someone who texted in a question for Murtaza, and it's on WhatsApp, and I didn't have time, but it seems so relevant. The question is, I'll read it. The question is, you started a business, and it couldn't have been easy. It never is. How did you find yourself out of stuck? And I just put, how did you find your way out of stuck when you were faced with stuck?
How'd you get unstuck when you were stuck is what they're saying.
Great. So yeah, many sleepless nights, many nights where when there was a time when I was working on something and the whole day passed and I didn't sleep. The next morning started and I kept working, and the very next night I also didn't sleep. But around 4 a.m., I think I just lost it and slept on the floor. And this is back 15, 16 years, right? But at the same time, there were many sleepless nights when I knew things are not working out, when I knew we have big issues to cater, when I knew quality is a problem, people, need to collect better people, need to learn how to manage them, everything. So being an entrepreneur, that is the way it is. But I think there were times when, while trying to sleep at night, I used to wonder whether I'm doing the right thing, by pursuing this entrepreneurship. My friends are doing better now. I might would have gotten a job, would be in a much better place. At least when they go on vacation, they never work. On every vacation, I also keep thinking about work and stuff like that. And then there are other issues, right? But at the same time, what makes you unstuck is the ultimate goal you set for yourself. And the goals can be different. It can be, it can be time bound, it can be a milestone bound, it can, so I keep my milestones very focused, and my milestones and goals are usually something which needs to be done, right? It is never about that, oh, this year I want to make like $1 million. It's not like that, right? So I need to do these XYZ things in place. And that is when you get into, because then these things are in your control, right? And revenue at times is not in your control. Everybody thought that we will be doing this, and then COVID-19 happened, or you lose major clients, or something comes up, you have to invest more and stuff like that. But I keep my focus on tasks to be done, that this I need to build in this particular time frame. And that motivation helps me, right? Because when there are challenges, I never think about not getting out of it. That's out of question. And for entrepreneurs, that's really out of question. You always have to come on top of it. So I don't even consider myself being stuck anywhere, because that has not been programmed in my mind. It is always like, fine, there's a problem. Well, problem is part of the journey, and I don't even consider problems. I at times laugh at them. Oh shoot, why did I not think about it? And now it's, oh god, like for example, we were doing really well, launching multiple things, and then March 15th, I realized that Corona is spreading, and we need to pause. Because on March 15th, what happened was that 4 really great clients told us that, listen, things are collapsing, we cannot pay you more, and now we have to pause this XYZ. And then I realized, oh, all our plans, we were thinking of these things, but now we are back on track, and we are still in a lockdown, and we're still working from home, and things are really bad, but there are no problems. Just think like that. There is nothing like being stuck. There is no other option being an entrepreneur. You have to overcome it. Full stop. Take it out of your dictionary.
I mean, Murtaza, I've experienced this with you a day in, day out. You always were an inspiration, because anytime we've had a challenge, and I believe part of that is where you're raised and born, where you have greater resilience because you have to continually come over the challenge, whatever that may be in your environment. And so I learned a lot from you in terms of the first and second and third and time we were hanging out about how to overcome, and that you continually looked at like, no problem, we'll figure it out. No problem, we'll figure it out. You're done, your lines, your like mantras. And so I'm going to ask you a question. So your incentive, because everybody needs an incentive, right? And you're self-generating your own incentives, and your incentives are your goals and milestones. Is that how you'd look at them? They're the incentive you're creating for yourself, not a financial goal, but the thing to accomplish that's the goal. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely, absolutely, and that keeps me really much.
So wait, the incentive piece was really important, because sure, it's a goal and a milestone, but you're motivated to get that done. What kind of goals and milestones are you setting so that becomes the incentive?
So number one, it's not like that. If entrepreneurs must be listening to that, it's not like that. I don't look into Excel sheets and don't look at the total, which is right in front of the profit.
You draw pictures on walls, though.
so numbers and profits, obviously that's like part and parcel, right? But something, I started, I think I find myself pretty blessed, because I started when I was 18, 19 years old. That is when I started my very first company, right? And I got a lot of time, and I think I still have a lot of time. And what I always believe is that whatever I'm doing, it needs to scale, and it needs to become really big, right? And that really gives me the motivation that, and when I talk about making things big, money is a byproduct. Money comes, right? But at times, like I will tell you one silly thought process which I had around 9-10 years back, is that when I started my company, and then initial 3-4 years I passed by, and then there was always this thought that whenever I walk into office, my office should be this huge, large office with 200 people sitting in that and stuff like that. And that craze actually really, I always wanted to do something like increasing workforce and being happy about the number of people I hire, right? And then I went through a bad phase financially, and then I realized it's not about the number of people; it's about the quality of people. So that was a lesson well learned, right? And then we focus on the quality of people, right? Uh, so every time, even right now, with every business, I have numbers or I have things to do. For example, Sean, you will laugh, but after 3 years, when you come to Pakistan, I will take you to Nathia Gali, which is a hilly mountain station, and you will be there in a very nice hotel which we are building. Right?
I can't wait.
So, and my partners, when we started that hotel, so it's like a crowdsourced hotel. So we don't have the capital to build it, but you own a piece of it, right? So if anybody wants to listen to them and property in Pakistan, please feel free. But the vision is the next 10 years, we at least should have 10 such hotels, right?
Right.
And, so every year something. So, and obviously we did the math for one hotel. We know how much we will be making out of it. But that is not that doesn't really motivate me. But this thing that 10 hotels in 10 years, yes, we want to do it. We want to become the biggest player. We want to become the best quality service provider when you compare us with other hotel chains in Pakistan, right? Although one of my very good friend, she's a part of.
What are the Hashwanis thinking about you stepping into this space, Murtaza?
We are too small for now.
Okay. Yeah, they won't pay. They won't see it until you reach your ultimate goal. Yeah. What I love about this, Murtaza, is that your intention is like the ultimate of entrepreneurship, and that is, how do we scale, grow, replicate, and that's the thrill. And I totally get that, because we've got some big goals here with 31 days to pat it too, right? And with everything, and I think that's something I hadn't really thought about in terms of. I always think a goal is important, but what you're really addressing here is that the excitement, the energy, the motivation you're getting, what keeps you going is a larger goal of something bigger, something more impactful overall. And that's a great insight.
Yeah, great.
Murtaza, I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Will you come back again?
Absolutely, would love to.
And then one day we'll do this live from Pakistan.
Inshallah. Very good.
Inshallah. Thank you, Murtaza. Say hello to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
seeing you, Sean. Thank you, everyone.